So apparently you turned Patrick Mahomes into Tony Soprano on TV yesterday. You've
Yeah.
urged me to watch that show repeatedly. I've still not watched it. I will eventually, but I say that to say this. Could you please help me understand what that was? You
All right.
turning Mahomes to
Let's
Tony
just pause
Soprano?
the show for a moment, please. You're you don't care that I say how old you are, right? We say that. I don't even know why
No,
I'm
that's
asking you.
fine.
You're 26 years old. It's now I now put you having never watched The Sopranos in the same bucket I would put if you didn't know how to change the tire on your car.
All
It's a
right.
part of being a grown man that's now unacceptable.
That's now
And
unacceptable, he
it's
says.
now
Okay.
unacceptable. Uh, and
All right,
I'm
I'll get on
here
that.
to tell you, you loved Breaking Bad, right?
I loved it. I loved it. I'm rewatching it right now.
Okay,
Done.
okay. Pause the rewatch of Breaking Bad and start watching The Sopranos. It is Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, The Wire are the top three. I understand folks that like The Wire's too slow, and in the beginning it is very slow. I get it.
Yes.
The Sopranos is not that, and so you need it's just it. And Gandolfini in The Sopranos is the single greatest acting performance of our lifetime.
Okay.
Okay, so now to the point I made on TV. So people talk about NFL quarterbacks like there's a big four. And there isn't. It's not Patrick, Josh, Lamar, and Burrow. It's Patrick and then a group far, far, far beneath him. I've been using this trophies analogy, not analogy, but point, but I'll use it again. There are four major trophies that are awarded in the NFL. Two are for individual accomplishment, two are for team accomplishment. The league MVP gets a trophy. The Super Bowl MVP gets a trophy. If you win your conference, you get a trophy. And if you win your Super Bowl, you get a trophy. So there's four opportunities to win a trophy in the year. In the last 25 years, by the way, the only person to sweep all four trophies in 1 year, Patrick Mahomes in 2022. The only guy in the last quarter century to sweep all four, Mahomes in 2022. The reason I bring that up is this big four, here is the current trophy count. Josh Allen, 0. Joe Burrow, 1. Lamar Jackson, 2. Patrick Mahomes, 13. To misquote Kendrick Lamar, it's not a big three, it's a big me, and it's Patrick. And DeMonte just totally squirmed at how cringeworthy me misquoting Kendrick Lamar was there. But it's apropos. And because I knew me quoting Kendrick would be awkward, that's why I used the Sopranos analogy. So now to go back to the Sopranos thing. One of the great things about the Sopranos is these other characters are these amazing, compelling, enriching, deep characters. Carmela, played by Edie Falco, one of the greatest characters ever, and one of the greatest acting performances ever. Christopher, a hauntingly great character. Paulie Walnut's one of the funniest characters in the history of TV. But here's the thing. It's not their fucking story. It's Tony's. And everything about them that is the most interesting is how their story relates to his. That's Patrick Mahomes and the other great quarterbacks of this era. What is the single most interesting thing about Joe Burrow's career? He beat Patrick Mahomes once. What's the single greatest moment from Josh Allen's career? The 13-second playoff game when he lost to Patrick Mahomes. What is the biggest argument that Lamar Jackson is an underrated or legendary player? He's playing in the same era as Patrick Mahomes and has more MVPs than him. These guys are not standalone historic figures. They are different moons orbiting around the planet that is Patrick Mahomes, which he is the main character of the NFL this decade. And so, yeah, I love Christopher and Paulie and Silvio and all of them. But what the show's called The Sopranos, and it's about Tony. And the NFL in the 2020s is about Patrick Mahomes, his speed running of the greatest career of all time, and how fast he can track everything down. Not through one game away from being through 7 full years as a starter, is now in second place in playoff game-winning drives, playoff wins, playoff touchdowns, Super Bowl appearances, conference championship appearances, 1 win away from second place in Super Bowl victories. Already is second place in Super Bowl MVPs. He's played 7 years. He's not 30 years old yet. So the gravity of his greatness, like a black hole of sports, sucks everyone else's storyline into it. By the way, I'm not a TikTok expert, but I've got to think that Sopranos Mahomes analogy's got to hit some algorithms. That thing will, Gianna from First Things First going to tell me your Mahomes Sopranos thing is doing numbers on TikTok. And it's going to be a whole bunch of kids who have never watched The Sopranos being like, I don't know who he's talking about.
Does another AFC title or AFC championship solidify this team as the greatest run ever, or this run, should we call it?
Well, it's the greatest 3-year stretch in the history of the sport already. Yeah. Nobody's ever, 9 teams have won back-to-back championships. 3 of them followed it up by missing the playoffs. 2 of them followed it up by losing the divisional round. 3 of them followed it up by losing in the conference championship round. Only the Chiefs made the Super Bowl. Now, if you want to say it's just tied with the Dolphins in the 70s that lost a Super Bowl and then won back-to-back, or the Patriots in the 2010s that went Super Bowl win, Super Bowl loss, Super Bowl win, I understand that argument. I disagree because I think the degree of difficulty on going for the three-peat is so much higher. So it's already the greatest 3-year run in the history of the sport. That's solidified bar none. If they win the championship, I believe this Chiefs team, the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs, if they win the championship, are the greatest team in the history of football. And I know that none of the data will back that up, except for the data that is they won as many games as anyone. They played as many playoff opponents as anyone. And when I say as anyone, if they win the Super Bowl, 18 wins. No one's ever won more than 18 games in a season. They lost to one team all year long, and then they went and beat that team in the postseason. Their road to the Super Bowl would have been juggernaut that never won of their conference in the AFC, and the team that basically for the last 3 months has been the best team in the NFC with the number 1 defense that is fully healthy. It'll be the greatest team of all time. And to do all of that with the pressure of the three-peat laying on your shoulders is unprecedented and remarkable. And it's also why, and we'll get to this later, I have been so irritated with the way this team has been discussed, and I was so angered at the nonsense bullshit conspiracy stuff going into the game.